Yo, what's good, Buffalo? This your homie Ace Hood from that Broward County. And you already know I'm tuned into the homie Bandana Black.
Because he's an OG. He shouldn't, in Jay Prince's own advice. Remember when Jay Prince was trying to squash the beef between Drake and Pusha T, and he was saying the whole, and don't quote me because I don't know like the old sayings and stuff that he was saying, but he was basically saying like, you don't wrestle with the pigs, you don't get dirty with the pigs, everything like that too. But that same advice could have avoided this situation. Because if you don't get dirty with the pigs like that too, that would be the same as just because they brought it to social media don't mean you do the same thing.
DJ Bandana.
Hey yo, it's DJ Bandana Black, Mr. Well Connected, even more respected, Mr. Hashtag I am Buffalo. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button right there on the bottom where it's red, where it says subscribe. Just do me that favor, click that subscribe button. Right next to the subscribe button, you see that little bell, hit that notification bell. And if you already tied in with DJ Bandana Black, you already know you fam, you part of the Bandana fam. Heavy shouts out to the Bandana fam, the whole Bandana gang. I appreciate each and every one of you. Check this right. So we're gonna get right to the point with this video because this is more of a serious matter, and this is just me really being how do I say this? Being, I guess, mature is the word. Being mature in the situation. So where do I start? Let me start by saying this, right? I respect everybody. And as someone who comes from the streets, not saying I'm like OG Bobby Johnson or Big Meech or El Chapo or anything like that too, but I come from the inner city. I come from the hood. I've been through a lot. I've been through a lot of similar situations that we're going to talk about. And one thing that I learned about the certain situations and things that I've been through is, as a man, sometimes you got to look at the overall picture and make decisions that don't just benefit you. That you got to kind of be, you got to not be selfish and understand that sometimes your choices, sometimes your moves can have a domino effect and can have a bigger effect than what at the moment, if you're thinking out of emotion and not really thinking with your brain. Not saying you're not thinking with your brain, but y'all get what I'm trying to say. Just work with me, y'all. I'm trying to explain something here. So this whole Jay Prince situation and really it's the YB Almighty situation kind of spiraled out of control. And I look back because I was alive back when the whole Tupac and Biggie situation and the whole East Coast versus West Coast, and not to copy off of Jay Prince, but this has the recipe to actually be that. So I'm scrolling through social media. I looked at everything that Jay Prince said. I looked at everything that a lot of people are saying in the comments, just watching other people who are on YouTube do videos, and really reading the comments and really just getting the temperature of everyone, right? And I think a lot of people, I really think it boils down to one, pride, and two, miscommunication or misunderstanding. That if we're not careful, especially, and I'm talking as far as the media, if we're not careful, this can have a recipe to be the same thing. Now, I know you're probably thinking like, well, why be him almighty and those guys are not Tupac and Biggie? But if you were alive back then and you really look at the full situation, and I really hope that Jay Prince listens to this, or someone closest to him, or even people that's from the South, and really understand what could happen. So with the whole Biggie and Tupac situation, right? Their issues that they had wasn't that big of an issue. Like, they just had like mere misunderstandings. The reason why the issue got blown out of proportion really was because the media and other people. So with the media reporting everything and making problems bigger than what they are, and reporting, well, Pac said this, Big said this, it makes the other side kind of feel like they have to react or have to do something bigger or have to say something back. It didn't kind of spiral out of control. So I'll say this up front, and I'm from New York. I'm from Buffalo, New York, east side of Buffalo, New York. I'll say this up front out of my own mouth, and this is just my opinion. This is me. Well, I'll put it like this. First off, this is not an apology. Everything that I've said up to this point about this situation, I was very respectful. I don't think I said anything disrespectful. I gave my opinion and commented on a few things. And this is not an apology. I'm not apologizing. I still feel the way that I feel as far as what Jay Prince said, how he went about it. And I still feel how I feel about the young men who had the issue that started this whole thing off. So I'll say this. I'll start with us, with New York, right? The guys who did this, by doing this and posting it online and saying what they said and everything else like that too, we don't agree with that, and we don't approve that. But on the flip side of that, YB Almighty also was out here wilding. It's a young people's game. It's 2019. It's all about clout chasing. It's all about who could disrespect each other the most. And although we may not agree with it, that's the culture here in New York. Just reading through some of the comments and having discussions with different people, like it's to the point now where some of my homies that's DJs that's from the South is kind of talking sideways, saying some crazy things, and they're not even from Texas. It's to the point now where some of these other people that's on YouTube is kind of feeling like they have to pick a side. And when you look at the whole Tupac and Biggie situation, it really wasn't an East Coast versus West Coast thing. It was a New York City versus the rest of the damn near world because it got blown out of proportion. So with me saying that these guys, as far as giving somebody $150, they gave him like $190. He got like cut from his like forehead to his throat. Doing that was a little bit excessive. Jumping somebody, that's a little bit excessive. As far as the respect thing, a lot of the comments were saying that people from New York are not respecting Jay Prince. And the only way that I can kind of explain the two different cultures would be like this, right? And please don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just trying to explain it to a way that everybody can understand, because I think that is really a miscommunication. As far as from what I know, we would look at the South as like the NFL, right? So say if the South was the NFL and each state or each city was a different team. So on every team you have a quarterback, you have a captain, you have an owner of the team and all that. But everybody plays a position and everybody understands that it's all the same sport. Like people on the Chiefs will play against the Bills. I don't really know a lot about sports, but they might play against a opposing team. But at the end of the day, they have a love for the sport and respect the sport of it. So they understand that. Not to say to come together, but it's unity and knowing that we're all in the same sport. So that would be for the South. New York would be more like playing Call of Duty on a solo mission. Now that type of thinking, in my own personal opinion, is wrong for us not to really be unified and everything else like that too. But it's never been unified. It's never been where everybody came together and everybody was all on one team or all in one sport and one type of thing. So I think the people from the South that's in the comments and everybody that's commenting like that too kind of get things twisted, because the culture down there, and this is just from talking to people that's from down there, is like, okay, if Jay Prince says to do this out of respect to him, then you should do that. We respect that. We 100% respect that. If that's y'all culture, to this man say to do this, we should do this out of respect. And honestly, we probably would too. If you look at a lot of responses of the people who responded back to Jay Prince, their only issue was that you put it online. It wasn't that you called somebody. It wasn't that you reached out to different people. It was that you put it online. A lot of these guys are 2-3-time felons, people who did time and stuff like that too. And I'll give you an example. So say with that first message, even though what he may have meant and what was actually wrote can be portrayed as two different things. Say, for example, if my son would have called somebody from the Bronx and went and talked to the young guys and went and got the chain back, right? Because this is online, say on his way back with the chain, say nobody got touched, nobody got hurt. On his way back with the chain, he get put over by the police. This is a stolen chain. We've seen this online. Now he's an accessory, and that's a conspiracy charge. So I think that's really what people are misunderstanding, is that they weren't upset that Jay Prince is respected and he's like an OG in the game. He's like a godfather of hip hop. We, even on the East Coast, we accept that. We respect that. It's just that our culture in New York is not unified. It's not based off of respect for an OG. It's not based off of respect for your elders and anything else like that too. So for the same type of people, say the same type of people that's in the comments, like, yo, if Jay Prince tell us to come there, we're gonna do this. And literally somebody really commented on one of my posts and said if Jay Prince tell us is a green light, we coming to New York and we doing that. I respect if you have that much respect for that man, if you have that much admiration for that man, and that's your culture. That's how you guys would move. But on the flip side of that, understand that in New York, the same amount of respect and the same whatever it is in you to risk your own life to be in good standards with Jay Prince, to honor him by doing that. In New York, it would be the flip side of it. These young boys, and I say young boys is the young mentality. It's not about money. It's not about respect. They're not shooting people over money. They're not beefing with each other over respect. They would have the same amount of pride to go against what you're saying and what you want, and that would count the same for them. So say for somebody from Texas who was willing to put their life on the line for Jay Prince to try to get the chain back, the young boys from New York would be willing to put their life on the line, put their family in danger, to not get the chain back just because it's making it seem like they saw for something to get a chain back. So I honestly believe when Hocus and my son and all of them responded back and was just like, yo, if you would have called me directly, reached out to me directly, not on social media, we could have tried to get the chain back. Nobody can guarantee it. The way that if a chain gets taken in Houston or something like that, the way that Jay Prince can just make a phone call or do whatever and get it back, people from New York damn near can get their own chain back. So trying to get somebody else's chain back from somewhere else who was giving out that type of energy is damn near almost impossible. But I say that to say this: let's not let this situation turn into a whole East Coast or West Coast or Houston versus New York. This was a secluded situation between a rapper who has been disrespectful, and we got to keep it G. Like the same way I'm keeping it G about New York, we got to keep it G. We got to keep it 100. YB Almighty is not an innocent kid. He gave out a lot of bad energy. He told plenty of people SMD. He told plenty of people pull up. Not saying that justified him getting cut or getting down there beat to death like that too, but this is New York. It's different. Don't nobody respect nothing. Like even in our own, in New York, people got to move different around their own people. It's just different. Like it's hard to explain if you're not from here. But that's just what it is. Like that's just how people pride is worth more than respect in New York. And when I say people in New York like that too, I'm not talking about everybody. I'm just saying in a general consensus of it. But I just don't want to see this spiral out of control because it's to the point now where like bloggers is beefing with other bloggers, DJs is beefing with other DJs. Like we don't even know each other, never seen each other, never been in the same state as each other. And it shouldn't be that over the situation. And I think as an OG in the game, when you see something like this getting kind of out of hand, even if you feel you 100% right, sometimes you have to if you want things to be peaceful like that, sometimes you got to just take that L and explain to people like, yo, listen, even though I'm an OG and I feel disrespect like that too, I don't want this to turn into an East Coast, West Coast thing or no rappers can come here, none of our rappers can come here, everybody just on a chain snatching tour and different things like that too. Because prior to this situation, it was all love. It was cool, but I honestly feel like people was wrong on both sides. New York was wrong in a way, and Jay Prince and YB Almighty was wrong in a way. If you're gonna let somebody that's that young clout chasing like that too represent your name, then one, you either need to make sure they're representing it right or have them with the right protection. They're in a whole different state. They're in a whole different culture. Things is not the same. And this is a whole different time. It's 2019. Like in New York and I'm not just speaking just New York City, even in my city, the young boys respect disrespecting other people. Like that's just what they disrespect each other. Now the whole SMD thing, inviting somebody to your private parts, that's not respected anywhere. But in New York, when you beefing with somebody or you got an issue with somebody, you're trying to be as disrespectful as possible. That's why they say F your dead homie and people hit up funerals and SMD and everything like that too. And don't get me wrong, I am not agreeing with it. I am not saying that it's right. I don't agree with it, but that's the fact that's the reality. Sometimes you got to like not look at the world in the way that you would want it to be and play the world for the way that it is and do what you can do to try to change it to the way that you want it to be. And I say that to say this because Jay Prince rightfully, just out of the respect that everybody has for him. I don't know why people just think New York just disrespects Jay Prince, because we don't. We respect him. We respect him just like we respect everybody else. It's not that they want to go against him, but nobody want to look like a sucker. Nobody want to look like, oh, well, he put up an Instagram post, he run your town, he run your city. Because in New York, people pride themselves on not having a leader, not having somebody who can tell them what to do, not having OGs, not having elders. And I'm not saying it's right. I'm just giving you the facts of the mindset of some of these young kids. Like, you got to know somebody's mindset is wrong if they commit a crime and put it in a video online. So that whole Jay Prince was snitching thing, I don't believe Jay Prince is a snitch. I don't believe that, and I've never said that he was a snitch. I don't respect that, saying that he is a snitch. Do I believe it was wrong for him to put the guy's name online, even though it was already online? People already knew about it. Yeah, that's because we hold, and this should show you we hold Jay Prince to a certain standard, or respect him to a certain amount, because he's an OG. He shouldn't. In Jay Prince's own advice, remember when Jay Prince was trying to squash the beef between Drake and Pusha T, and he was saying the whole and don't quote me because I don't know like the old sayings and stuff that he was saying, but he was basically saying like, you don't wrestle with the pigs, you don't get dirty with the pigs, anything like that too. But that same advice could have avoided this situation. Because if you don't get dirty with the pigs like that too, that would be the same as, just because they brought it to social media don't mean you do the same thing. we respect you more than we would respect somebody who would do something like that. We don't respect doing crime and putting it online. Now, people getting robbed, people getting jacked like that too. That's everyday life where we from. That happens every day. People get robbed every day, B. Like, real talk. And that's not to be funny. It honestly happens to everybody here. But we hold him to the same type of standards you guys do too, and we don't expect him to get on social media and do it that way. That was kind of shocking for us too. It's like, damn, like, you put somebody in a bad position, even though that's not, you saying that's not what you meant. What you wrote initially can be looked at that way, and I think that those artists have to live there. A lot of those artists are still in the Bronx. They still got to move around New York City. They can't just move to Houston and get money out there like that too. They have to be amongst these people, and it's already a woof eat woof type of world here. But I just wanted to just say this video real quick. Like I said, this is not breaking news or anything like that. I just wanted to say this video because being somebody who's been from the streets and lost a lot of people over just basic, just mindless stuff. And I don't mean to downplay the situation. The young man was robbed, was beat half to death, does have a scar that's going to be with him probably for the rest of his life. So I'm not making light of that. But he's still alive? Is trying to prove a point or having pride in is trying to prove a point and having pride worth people actually dying, going to jail over this? No, I don't think so. Something happened, you getting payback or retaliation against somebody who did something wrong to you. In New York, we do the same thing. Nobody would like be mad about that. And I give you this example. Even when 6ix9ine, right? So 6ix9ine was from New York. He was the hottest rapper that we had. Whether he's a snitch now, we don't rock with him like that too. But at that time, he was the hottest artist that we had. He went to Houston and they shut his whole show down. I believe that's where he had the little fight at the airport and all that too, and they were screaming out "rap a lot," or whatever. And this is all public knowledge. This is on the internet. Did you see anybody from New York say we coming to Houston and it's on site or back Tekashi 6ix9ine up? No, because we don't respect clown activity, whether it's New York or whether it's anywhere, and it's not unified. Niggas don't care about they self, let alone somebody else. So if people in New York don't care about they self or about their own people, what would make you think that they would care enough to risk their own life to get back a chain of somebody who's been heavily disrespectful online? So I just want all sides to see all points of this and look at the bigger picture, especially the media outlets as far as YouTube and anything like that too. Be careful of what you say and the stance that you take on this whole thing. This is going to be my last video on this whole J Prince situation, unless things seem to be taking a turn for the better as far as squashing the situation and things getting better, just because I can see this could really be a recipe for a bigger issue than anybody I think is really prepared for. It's different when you can go to war when you're a millionaire and you can pay for protection, you can pay for people to be around you, you can pay to move around, and when you a person that doesn't have that type of reach, but you have pride. And I think we really need to look at the bigger picture of it all. J Prince is an OG. I think he'd be a little bit more vocal in saying that, and I don't think he feels that what he did was, the way that he said it was wrong, but just be a little bit more vocal in trying to keep the peace in the situation, because it really is spiraling out of control. And me just being not even saying a mature person, because I'm not like an activist or role model or anything like that too. I'm just a dude from Buffalo, New York, who've been through it, and I don't want to see it turn into something that it shouldn't be all over. I'm not gonna say nothing but over a situation that's smaller than what this is turning into. Anyways, hop in the comments, let me know how y'all feel, whether you East Coast, West Coast, Texas, New York. I got love for all. And let's let this play out and kind of just be careful on what you report on. Like I said, this is gonna be my last video on the situation, only because I don't want to be a part in pushing it further. Even though none of my videos was disrespectful, none of my videos was saying, yeah, go do this, SMD, New York, bang bang, squad. No, none of that, because I'm a little bit older, a little bit wiser, and that's it. It's DJ Bandana Black, Mr. Well Connected, even more respected.
DJ Bandana.